What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Someday with Jay Barsky. This episode's guest is one of my good friends and sister in comedy, Diane Jorge. I know her more through the stand-up scene, but she dabs into other forms of entertainment, and she's best known for in the improv scene doing a lot of different improv sketches. So you'll hear us talk about her producing her one-woman shows, her meeting Walter Mercado, and much more. So with that being said, I hope you enjoy our Someday with Diane Jorge. Diane Jorge, what's up? How you doing?
Barsky. Hi. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad that you came all the way from Miami. Did you drive? Okay.
Yeah, I live in so let me clarify. I was born and raised in Miami, but I live in Broward now, but my day job is in Miami. So I took 4 highways
Jeez.
to get here. 4. I'm like, wow. Yeah, but I'm here in one piece, thankfully. So excited to be here.
When I drive down to Miami for like shows or mics or stuff, like I'm so appreciative of the trip, like getting there, just because you know how the traffic is, and you
Yeah.
see how like the accidents over there, and you're like, oh, I'm so glad that wasn't me. But
Yeah.
I always feel like I'm in a scene of Fast and Furious, like
Yeah.
Tokyo Drift 2
Yep.
specifically.
Yeah, you have to drive aggressively in Miami. If not, what was I gonna say?
Well, you gotta go with the flow. That's
Yeah,
what
you
I know.
do.
It's like
Yeah, you have to.
you gotta drive aggressive
Yeah,
to like.
because sometimes you'll be stuck
Oh
in.
yeah,
There'll be a car accident. You just have to swerve lanes really
yeah,
quick. I mean, try not to
yeah.
like
Oh my
hit
god.
anyone, but or there was one time where someone's hubcap fell off their car
Mm-hmm.
and scratched my whole hood.
Oh, jeez.
And I mean, that person was like speeding away, so it's not like I can.
Yeah.
Like, great. What am I gonna do now? It's like the mark of Zorro on my the freaking hood of my car, but it was someone's 1993 Elantra.
I like that. The markers are like, I have a Prius, the mark of a Prius.
Yeah.
Something I've been wanting to ask you. Well, you done this recently. Is your solo villas?
Yes.
So I got a chance to see one of these. So do you want to explain like what?
By the way, the next one's on February 8th at the
Okay.
Lake Worth Playhouse. Oh, thank you. Esto ha sido patrocinado por Solo Vela. Solo Vela is before I did stand up, I've been doing improv, and stand up and improv are 2 different things. You don't know the difference. Google it. I'm tired of answering the question. Like, Google it. Well, improv, think of like whose line is it anyway, if you're familiar with the show. So I've been doing improv for the last 14 years, I want to say 14, 15 years. And, I've gone to like festivals all over the world, and I've been exposed to solo improv, which is basically doing scenes or scene work, but with yourself, and you're playing all the characters.
Okay.
And a couple years back, there's improv festivals all over the country, all over the world. And Anthony Francis runs one in Palm Beach called the Palm Beach Improv Festival. So sometimes it'll be in Del Rey or West Palm Beach. But one year, I think it was 2019, there was a guy named TJ Mannix. He's out of the Magnet Theater in New York. It's an improv theater up there. And he does a fantastic solo show that you'll laugh, you'll cry. He sings. He has the voice of an angel. I am jealous of him. I want to wear his skin. No, no, he's great. He's a fantastic performer. And he was doing a workshop on solo and developing your own solo and duo shows. And no one else signed up for the workshop except for me. So Anthony called me like, "Hey, if you spring a couple extra bucks, it'll just be a one-on-one private session with this guy." I'm like, okay. Hell yeah. I really respect his work. I actually, when I would go to New York for business, I would go to the Magnet Theater, and they would have what's called jams. So think of like, when musicians go to jam, they're just playing with each other. Improvisers also have jams where you have a chance to do scenes with different people, even though you might not necessarily be part of that theater. So I met TJ Mannix through a jam at the Magnet Theater. But he had this class, and I was telling him, about some of my experiences growing up. And I'm Latina. I grew up in Miami. I work for a Spanish language TV network. So telenovelas are a big thing in my life. They are kind of my livelihood in the sense that I do research on them. But I grew up watching telenovelas. I have fond memories of every night eating dinner, and after dinner sitting with my grandmother and my mom to watch telenovelas. And what I love about telenovelas is just this suspension of like reality. um and the melodrama and just like, you know, oh, ¿por qué? Like, and it's so crazy that people are like, Diane, you're so melodramatic. I'm like, I grew up on telenovelas. What do you think was going to happen? I was going to rub off a little bit. So I've always wanted to play with, a telenovela format in improv, because in improvisation, you could do like those short forms, like in Whose Line Is It Anyway, but you can also do like a play, like an improvised play where you have a through line and, one scene follows the other and it's completely made up. So I wanted to play around with doing an improv show where I kind of tweaked the telenovela genre. And and for a lot of improv, there's not a lot of props in it. And, a lot of the stuff is they do like object work, or like, which basically you're miming opening a can of beer, you're miming like you have long hair. But for this piece, I wanted to include props. So I have ridiculous props. Like, for example, every time I play a villain, they always have an eye patch.
Okay.
That's very popular in a lot of the older telenovelas from like the 80s and the 90s. Like there's a person with an eye patch and they're usually up to some shiesty stuff.
The evil twin.
The evil twin.
So has the goatee or something.
Yeah. So I wanted to play around with Solovella, but I also wanted to make ordinary life melodramatic. So the way I do it is I do a one-person telenovela. I play all the characters. I base it on someone's life. So I'll bring an audience member up. I'll ask them questions about their day-to-day, what they do, the people in their life. Are they with someone? How they meet that person? People they dislike, which is wink, wink, turns out to be the villain, right? And the saying, there's no use crying over spilled milk.
Yeah.
I cry over spilled milk.
Okay.
Is the best way I can describe it. Everything is a big deal.
Gotcha.
And people really resonate with it, and I've had a lot of fun doing it. So, and I've taken it to a couple of festivals. I just did a sold out show at the Miami Improv Festival, which was nice. I mean, it was 30 seats, so it's not like I packed a house of 300 and got murdered. It was 30. It was a
It's
small.
still a lot.
It was a small cabaret space, and they were turning away people that were performers in the festival, because you can watch other performers because the seats were full. Like there was no room, which that was really nice. And yeah, I'm hoping to apply to more improv festivals and take it over to different parts of the country.
So how'd you get into improv?
So I've always done some sort of performance thing. The funny thing is I never really got into drama club. I did a lot of singing. I was in choir in high school. I did a lot of like choir and things like that. And I've always taken like artistic classes. Like I've taken guitar classes or acting classes and things like that just for fun. And then after I graduated college, I started working out in the real world, and I realized, wow, this sucks.
Yeah.
Like this is terrible. This is what I was working up to. Like I did all these years of high school. I did 4 years of undergraduate just to sit at a desk and be miserable. This is horrible. Why didn't anyone warn me about this? So one night I was Googling comedy classes. I'm like, all right, let me just get like an artistic, I was taking like, I've taken like belly dance classes, like different, I just like to learn different things. I'm a big nerd and I love to learn about different artistic things. And I Googled comedy classes, and just the improv classes came up, and I took a bunch of their classes, eventually got onto their cast, and here I am now.
I went to just the funny, because I like exploring.
Yeah.
That's what really got me into comedy. Is just whether it's going to mics or just watching shows.
Yeah.
So I went to Just the Funny to watch like a 10 o'clock show. A friend
Yeah,
was
they're stand-up
headlining.
show, right.
And then after, it's a long drive coming back here
Yeah.
for me. But right after the show, I heard like Pony from Genuine playing in another row.
Yes, yes.
So
yes.
I love the song. So like it drew me to like, okay, where's this song playing? So I go into the other side where they're doing the improv acting. And this is like 11 o'clock at night when they're doing the show, 11:30, maybe like almost
It's
midnight.
11. So
yeah.
So like how Just the Funny is structured right now, I'm sure it's going to change because it was different before the pandemic. So at 9 o'clock, they have what's called on Saturday nights, they have what's called the Big Show, which is their main improv show. They'll do a mix of what's called short form improv, which is whose line is it anyway, and long form improv, which are more like longer scenes. Sometimes it's narrative, sometimes it's not. And simultaneously at 10 o'clock, so with it, during the second half of the show at 9, there's stand up at the Spotlight, which is the other space they have, which is like a cabaret space. They have the bar there, beer and wine. And then at 11, they do a show that's free to anyone that paid for the 9 or 10 o'clock called One Hot Hour, which is some of the students or the advanced students and some of the cast members will perform together and do different things. But usually the way we close the big show sometimes is we play a game called Double Entendre. And that's probably what you were hearing.
Okay.
So we play like sexy music and we get an object from the audience and it's I like my lovers, like I like my whatever object, and then punchline. Yeah. So it's Double Entendre. That's a really fun game.
I would like to see it. Like, I've seen more of just the stand-up side of you, and I recall maybe just seeing you do some improv like once, or like musical improv stuff over like what's that
What, Lilo's or what?
Over in Delray.
Oh, Sick Puppies?
Opportunities.
Or Opportunities,
Like,
yeah.
I've seen you do some like musical stuff there.
Yeah.
But I would love to see the solo vela.
Yeah.
Too. But there's one that I really want to see. I don't know if you haven't been doing this, but your Walter Mercado shows.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
What are those?
Okay, so let me explain this whole thing. First of all, before I go into the Walter Mercado stuff, I have to give a huge shout out to Freddie Stebbins, Miami comic who's been doing this character for years. Like I've known Freddie for a long time, and actually I did dabble in stand-up a couple, like 10, 11 years ago, but then long story short, mental health was not great and I stopped. But he's been doing this character for years. So I want to give a shout out, first of all, to Freddie, because I want people to think, oh, I'm stealing his stuff. And Freddie knows I do the impression, and we've talked about it and we're cool about it. We actually talked about working together, but time is a limited resource. But anyway, so Walter Mercado, for those of you who are not familiar with him, he was a world-renowned astrologer. He was very big in Latin America, very big with the Latino community. At one point in the 90s, he had his own 9100 number. He had a daily segment on a Spanish language TV show. He had his own segment on Spanish language radio. The guy was all over the place. Think Liberace, but Latino. Which that takes it to a whole other level. And I grew up watching him every day. Actually met him.
Oh, no shit.
I met him.
Wow.
Yeah. I've met him twice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
that explains your glow. You have a little glow.
Well, also
it still resonates.
I put some makeup on, so.
But it's from meeting Walter.
Yeah, it's from meeting Walter. I woke up like this, flawless, Beyonce.
Beyonce.
But Walter Mercado is this like big figure. So I met him for the second time. So let me explain. The first time I met him, it was the early days when I was working at the Spanish language network, and I was buying breakfast from the cafeteria, and he was outside by the studio of the morning show. And he was at the door of the cafeteria, and I'm in my head, I'm being stupid, like, if you could read my mind, nod your head 2 times. I grab my food and I just go, hola, and he just nods his head twice.
Oh.
But again, it could have been, he could have been stretching his neck.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, but at that point in time, I'm like, he can read minds.
Yeah.
It's real. It's not fake. He's real.
Uh-huh.
But in August 2019, he had an exhibit at History Miami, which is a museum inside the main branch of the Miami-Dade Libraries in downtown Miami. And they had a history of the Walter Mercado is known for his capes. They're very heavy,
Yeah.
ornate capes. He's from Puerto Rico, so there's one that's a giant one that's a Puerto Rican
Oh,
flag.
okay.
He's known for having like this strawberry blonde mom haircut. Lots of rings.
Yeah.
Larger than life character, right?
Yeah.
And they had an exhibit for him, showing pictures of his career and wearing all these, and a lot of his capes were on display. So they had 2 nights of events. They had one night where they had like a VIP invite. I was not invited to that, but I went to the second event they had, which was an interview with him.
Okay.
So it was a sit down interview. Someone sat down, interviewed with him, and then we all got to go up to him and meet him. So I was the first one in line, but then 2 girls cut me.
Oh.
By the way, I know what you did. And then so the person behind me was like, "What the?" I'm like, "You know what?"
Yeah.
I go, "They're cutting in line to meet a psychic." I go, "The karma they're gonna get back." I'm like, "You know what?
They'll get theirs.
I mean, they'll get theirs. Sometimes just gotta let it go. I'm not gonna form a scene in front of. And mind you, when he was appearing, I mean, he's pretty old. He was pretty old, and he actually, like, he needed help getting onto the other chair. Like, they brought him in this throne. They played bolero. They're like "Bee, bididi, bididi, dididi, dididi, dididi." He was being carried around on this golden throne, and I'm like, "Oh my god, this is what I want to do. I want to learn astrology so I can be carried around a golden throne." And he had trouble getting off from the throne to sitting on the chair. Like, you could tell that the years have progressed, and he had trouble moving and things like that. But so it was my turn to meet him. I took a selfie with him. He's like, "Oh, selfie." And then he holds my hand. He's like, "I have to tell you something." And then all of a sudden someone's like, "Next." And I'm like, "No way, Walter has to tell me something." So August 2019, I meet him. So October 2019, Halloween comes around. I mean, I'm a full grown adult, but I freaking love Halloween. It is my Super Bowl. I go all out for costumes. I'm a big kid. I'm very silly. I'm very absurd. And, like, I'm not a Disney adult, but I'm a Halloween adult. So, like, I mean, it's just as obnoxious, but I love it.
Yeah.
And that year, I dressed up like Walter Mercado. I scoured Amazon to find the wig, which was like perfect. A 3-piece suit, a cape. I went to Goodwill and got these fun, these funky shoes. I had a friend of mine that does big resin rings. So I bought a bunch of rings from her. I bought a bunch of fake rings from Amazon. I went all out for the costume, and I wore it to work, to my day job, and I won the Halloween costume by a landslide. I won the contest by a landslide.
Of course.
And funny enough, there was someone else dressed as Walter Mercado that year.
What?
Yeah. And then when she was on stage, they asked her, "Oh, are you the real? There's another Walter Mercado here. Why are you the real one?" And then she said something, and she pointed right at me, and I'm like, mind you, it was a corporate event, but I'm like, this bitch. So I go, "I am Walter de Mercado. You're Walter del Mercado." I said, "You're Walter of Market," because Mercado also means market in Spanish. So it's kind of like a play on words.
Yeah.
And actually, another shout out, Marlene Marcos, who's one of the owners of Just a Funny, she does a character called Walter del Mercado, which is if Walter Mercado worked at a supermarket. So, gotta give her a shout out as well. She's been doing that character for quite a bit. It's a fun character. But anyway, I'm like, "You're Walter del Mercado." And funny enough, someone saw me dressed as him, and someone hired me for their dad's 80th birthday. Like my friend was like,
Oh,
my dad's
okay.
turning 80. And I'm like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, I could make money doing this character. So
Yeah.
I was starting to book gigs and stuff, and then the pandemic happened.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So obviously,
Mhm.
events were put on hold for
Yeah.
a while.
Mhm.
But I did a video. My friend was doing a video series called Quarantine Around the World. Shout out to the Front Yard Theater Collective, which is another performing group down in Miami. They do plays and improv and stuff. But we did a video series called Quarantine Around the World, and that was really fun. And I did like quarantine horoscopes, and that was super fun. But then eventually, 2021 things started coming back. My friend Gabby, who works, she does a lot of events. She used to be affiliated with the Olympia Theater, but now it's a company called Olympia Arts Miami, and they do a lot of art events in downtown Miami. I was performing out of a ticket booth at the
Okay.
Olympia Theater. So like the movie Big and that Zoltar, the
Yeah.
the fortune
psychic, yeah,
teller
fortune
machine
teller. Yeah.
inside of a booth. So um, Gabby's boss had this idea of having my Walter Mercado character be inside the ticket booth.
Mm.
So it was during the pandemic, so obviously couldn't do it in a traditional stage. So they were doing outdoor events. They had music, and then I would be in the booth. Like after each musical act, I'd be in the booth giving out fortunes. And it was so scary because with improv, you have a cast that will jump in if you need help.
Mhm.
They'll end a scene if they see you're kind of floundering a bit.
Mhm.
But this was me.
Yeah.
It was just me. So that was really scary. But I did it for like 8 weeks in a row.
Oh wow.
I had so much fun. And funny enough, my dad's never really seen me perform. Like he's maybe gone to one or two things
Mhm.
in choir. And then when he saw me do that,
Mhm.
all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, when's your next show? Oh,
Oh,
I am so
okay.
proud of you."
Nice.
That was the first time my dad's ever said he was proud of me
Aw.
in terms of being a performer.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, you're so good. You're so funny." I'm like,
Oh.
"I've been this the whole time,
Yeah.
Dad. You
You
could have
late,
saved
man.
me a lot of money in therapy had you been nicer to me about this sooner." Should I send you the therapy bill? Just kidding. You're retired.
Yeah.
I'll pay my therapy,
Oh man.
but yeah, I had a lot of fun, and I got over a lot of fears of being in the spotlight by myself. So, actually, that kind of helped me start thinking, maybe I should get into stand up again.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're a pretty happy person, like from my known you,
I
but
pretend to be. I'm kidding. No, I
but
am.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure you get times. I mean, I get stressed off with
Yeah.
comedy, stand up, and
Yeah.
other things that go on. So, what do you do to like help relieve stress?
Therapy. You have healthcare, and if you can afford it, that's the hard thing about seeking mental health. Sometimes it's expensive, and people don't have enough income to pay for a decent therapist. It's
Yeah.
hard. But thankfully, I have a day job, knock on wood, because, you know, just times are tough. And I'm able to work through my feelings and learn techniques to combat intrusive thoughts. So one thing I do is I question the intrusive thought. So
Okay.
anytime a thought comes in my head, and this is something my therapist has taught me, anytime a thought comes into my head, I'm like, why do you think that?
Hmm.
Why do you think that? Like, okay, oh, no one thinks I'm funny. Why do you think that? Oh, I did this one show and I bombed. Oh, oh, you did one show.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but I've bombed a bunch of other shows. Okay. But are there shows where you've laughed? Like I think the opposite of the thought. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay. Or the other thing she says is to separate yourself from the thought. Instead of saying I am sad, it's like I have sad feelings.
Yeah.
Instead of like saying you are this, you say you are feeling this. So you're acknowledging the feeling, right? Because that's the other thing too. You don't want to repress anything.
Yeah.
Because you repress it. Eventually, it's gonna like blow up, and it's gonna blow up in the most inopportune time. So, that's what I really try to surround myself with positive people. I follow a lot of positive pages or people. I've cleansed my social media, so if there's people that
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, there's people that, for example, like they're negative all the time or they're shitting on things all the time, pardon my French, or they're I don't need to have you on my social media feed. So, I have playlists that I follow on Spotify with like positive music or like affirmations. There's different apps. I have like every phone. I have an Android. Okay, don't boo me. Green team, boo
Get
team,
out of here.
team green bubble.
That explains why I was getting those green bubbles.
Yeah, I'm an Android user. My husband's a big like I hate Apple person. But anyway, I have like on the notes app, I have a thing of notes pinned. And it's break in case of ... So anxiety.
Oh.
So there's like a TikTok on anxiety, how to get yourself out of a panic attack.
Yeah.
Or break, there's another one, for example, quitting comedy. I literally have a section called quitting comedy because the thought comes up, at least once a month, of like, should I be doing this? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Can I just like work an office job and be content for the rest of my life? Will I look back and regret quitting? So I have videos about there's this one account called Heb on the Web. And it's this woman that sings a bunch of songs. So she has one song I'm going to butcher it, but it's like, being bad at something is the first step of being good at something.
Okay.
So I play that a lot when I'm like, I don't feel like I'm great, because we have a lot of talented people down here. And you learn so much by just watching them and like, wow, it's a beautifully written joke. Wow. Oh my God, what a great punchline,
Yeah.
And then you start to play the comparison game, which is, don't play that game.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
Because their thing is like, there's only one you.
Yeah, exactly.
There's only one you. That's them. They have their success because they were them. You can get success as you just have to find your way. So yeah, it's curating positive experiences, affirmations, and also the first thing I do every morning is I think of gratitude.
Okay.
I found that when I start my day thinking about the things I'm thankful for, it's I'm less likely to be depressed that day. I think about what I'm thankful for, and mind you, I'm like, every morning I'm like, man, I'm thankful I woke up today. First of all, right? I'm thankful. I see my husband next to me with his CPAP. Like, I'm like, I'm thankful for this.
Yeah.
For this man who
Thankful for hearing that noise.
I'm thankful that I hear that noise, right? That he's here, he's alive. I might have been mad at him the night before.
Yeah.
We try not to go to sleep angry. We try to like, okay, we're gonna disagree on this point, but I love you. I love you too. So gratitude, affirmations, therapy if you can, and try to curate as much positivity around you as much as possible. Either it's your social media feed or maybe it's little post-its, and the people in your life too. Like, you're a limited resource, not just time, but you as a person. There's only so much you can do, and there's only so much you can take. So you want to try to not be around people that drain your energy. That's not always avoidable in comedy because there's some
Yeah.
negative people
Oh man.
out there, but you can try your best to arm yourself against those people, and that's it. Just really try to. I've been more protective of my energy now than I have been in
Mm.
for the rest, like for most of my life. I've always been an open book and always like I talk to everyone,
Mm.
but now I'm starting to see, okay, there's some people that are just really not worth the effort.
Yeah. Well, so you were talking about like, waking up on things you were grateful for, which
Yeah,
is a routine. So I
yeah,
kind of lead what I want to get into next is like special routines. Is it
yeah,
anything other than, what
yeah.
you were mentioning
So,
before?
like the first thing is just the gratitude, just like waking up, and I'm gonna start writing it down because I just think it, but I think writing it down. There's something about putting something in ink or putting something on a piece of paper that
Mhm.
just makes it that much more. You get things in writing when you
Yeah.
want something to happen. You get things in writing. So I think writing it down is something I want to try to incorporate. But gratitude is one thing. Um, I drive a lot of long distances, and to do comedy down here in South Florida, you could do comedy 2, 3. You could do 2 or 3 shows a night if you
Yeah.
time it right.
Yeah.
Like, I was actually inspired by Raul not too long ago when he did, like, 3 shows in one
Yeah.
night, and actually did that. I There was the first night of an open mic in Boca Raton at this pizza place that's owned by the people that own the Improv. So I messaged Ellie and Brittany run that room. So I messaged Ellie, "Hey, can I get a spot?" early on. So I did a spot there, and then I was booked on Thank You Miami.
Okay.
And I did a spot there, and then I went to this mic in Plantation. So I did 3 rooms in 3 different counties.
Mhm.
I live in Broward, so I ended the night at a Broward mic that I know runs pretty late, and I'm cool because actually that was my first mic that I went to when I started doing in person shows
Mhm.
was the Riverside mic over in Plantation.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I ended the night at that mic, and I've done like 2 or 3. I've done a couple nights like that, but I try to, like, on my way to a gig, um, just listen to like uplifting music or music that hypes me up, like just
Yeah.
like get the party going music, energetic music. Sometimes I'll listen to a set where I did well, just to be like, yo,
Yeah.
this is what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't happen, but I'm like, this is what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
When you say your things, people are gonna laugh and you're gonna do
Yeah.
great. So I try to create just, good mood and vibes. Like people will call me like sometimes when I'm on the way to something and I'm like, "Oh, okay." And if they start to like complain about something, I'm like, "Listen, I'm here for you. I want to listen to you, but I'm on my way to a show and I'm running through my jokes.
Yeah.
Can I call you back?" Like, so again, I'm not saying, "Oh, I want positive vibes only," because that's toxic, right? But I just try to curate a good experience for myself, and I try to create an environment where, because again, I'm I'm diagnosed with certain mental illnesses, right? And you know, I go to therapy and all that, but it doesn't mean that it goes away. There are times where life tests you,
Yeah.
and so I just try to create a good experience for myself, and I try to not just gratitude with myself, like what I'm thankful for, you know, um, gratitude for others, like, someone will give me a tag. I'm like, thank you so much. That was great. I really worked on that. Um, or also like celebrate other people, because someone else's success doesn't take away from yours.
Yeah.
So I try to amp people up as much as possible because, you know, there's a lot of negative stuff in the world. You know, I work in television, and so I know what's on the news all the time.
Mhm.
I sometimes I'll listen to the news to know what's happening, but after a while, I'm like, all right, you know what's happening, but let's create some positive some positive things. Again, I'm not denying anything negative is happening, or I'm not denying any negative feeling, but I'm trying to foster as much positivity as possible.
Right. Oh, we kind of touched on this, but I
Yeah.
want to get into like practices that help motivate you.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
You were
I
mentioning
got
like music.
music. Music is a big thing. So okay, I'm gonna get a little sappy here. So My mom is probably like, my mom was my world. Like, I love my mom. But she was one of these people that always put off things. Like, she would talk about, when I retire, I'm going to travel. When I retire, I'm going to do this. And a couple years ago, my mom had a very big stroke that left her basic. And then she had a couple strokes over the years that eventually left her not being able to speak, not being able to walk. Eventually, she lost some of her sight and hearing.
Wow.
We don't know how much because she couldn't tell us how much.
Yeah.
But this was a woman that, like, she never took a vacation day. She
Mhm.
never took time for herself. Like, I literally would be like, "Mom, let's go buy you new clothes." She would wear the same thing over and over.
Mhm.
She always put everyone else before her.
Yeah.
And even me, I was guilty of, like, my mom would be like, "Hey, do you want to do something?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm busy,
Mhm.
Um, and she died, she
I'm
died from
sorry.
COVID.
Mhm.
Thank you. She died from COVID alone in a hospital room. I couldn't
Mhm.
go see her.
Mhm.
My dad, for whatever reason, the hospital let my dad be in the room with her, which that was a big no-no at the
Mhm.
time,
Yeah.
because this was like May 2020. So
Mhm.
this was, peak
Fresh. Yeah.
peak COVID. And so I have a bracelet. This is my mom's bracelet.
Okay.
It's not like the fanciest bracelet. It's not a bracelet. You could tell it's a bracelet that
Mhm.
was maybe from the 90s. But
Mhm.
I wear this as a reminder of, like, your life is not guaranteed.
Yeah.
You might be alive for a while, but you're not guaranteed to be able to do the things you want to do.
Yeah.
So do the things you want to do
Hmm.
while you do it. So I don't take this off. I think one time I had to do like an MRI or an X-ray or some shit, and I begrudgingly took it off.
Mhm.
But this serves as a reminder of, like, do the things you want to do.
Yeah.
Because someday, you might not be able to do them. So, and she always put off everything she wanted to do in hopes of, like, oh, someday I'll be able to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want to wait. And I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I don't know what's gonna happen in the next minute. I don't know. So this is the time. Now is always the time to pursue things. Oh, when should I do something? Now. Don't wait, because you don't know if it might be too late. So, yeah. So this thing is actually one of my big motivators. I look every time I feel like, oh, Mr. Cry. No,
Yeah.
every time
You're
I
gonna make me
feel
cry.
no, but yeah, this bracelet is just, I look down on it and it just reminds me of all the things my mom wanted to do that she never got to do.
Okay.
And it just reminds me to not put off the things I want to do.
Right.
Just pursue them. Again, I think the fear of a lot of the fear that people have is like, what if I'm bad at something? You're going to be bad at something when you first do it.
Yeah.
You're not, there are some people who have more of a natural ability than others,
Mhm.
and I hate them. No. No, we don't. We don't. They might struggle with things later on. You don't know what other
Yeah.
people's
Yeah.
battles are, but you know what your battles are.
Yeah.
So, it's you just have to live your life for you, because at the end of the day, at the end of your life, when you close your eyes, it's your life flashing through your eyes, not someone
Yeah.
else's. So, when it flashes through your light, when that life flashes through your eyes, are you gonna like what you see?
Yeah.
Are you gonna look back and be like, I wish I had done
Yeah.
X?
Yeah.
And this bracelet's kind of a reminder of, like, don't live with regret. Fail, fail big, do the thing. Don't worry about other fucking people. There's some people who, like, I'm sure I'm not their cup of tea or whatever, but F them. Like,
Yeah.
like, there's 32 flavors of ice cream. There's I
I
don't e
like you. That's all that
Aw,
should
thanks,
matter.
Bart.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Barsky likes me.
Fuck everybody.
Fuck it.
As long as Jay Barsky
He
likes
likes
you,
you. Yeah.
you're in.
But yeah, I mean, I'm still learning. I don't know everything there is to know about comedy. I don't know everything there is to know about improv or life, but what I do know is that you're the one living your life, and ultimately you have to do what's best for you. And period. You have to do what's best for you, and you have to give yourself permission to swing big and miss. But one day you'll knock it out of the park.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing. I appreciate
you so
like being
much.
open
Yeah.
about this. I mean, are you working on anything that our listeners should watch out for?
I mean, I have a ton of shows coming up. I'm doing another solo Vela show on February 8th at the Lake Worth Playhouse. And I've been doing a lot of different types of shows. If you follow me on social media at Diane is Loud. I probably did need this microphone, Barsky, but if you follow me on there, I'm gonna have a bunch of shows. I hope to do more video sketches, video content. I just have to I have to etch out the time, right? And also, there's other things I want to make time for, like incorporating more movement. I do little walks, like at work when I'm at work.
Yeah.
I do walks. I walk quickly throughout the building and things like that, just to kind of get the blood flowing. But I want to incorporate more lifestyle things and also creating more content. But again, I'm a limited resource, so I'm doing the best I can with what I got.
Do you have any final words you want to leave our listeners to help motivate them in pursuing their someday?
Your someday is now.
Now.
Do it now. Maybe if you need to rearrange some things or if you want to plan it out a little bit, but the time is now. The time is now to do the things you want to do, because tomorrow's not guaranteed. The next 5 minutes are not guaranteed. So, like, really just close your eyes. If money were no issue, if whatever, whatever whatever prompt you need to get the dream up of what you really want out of life, really think about that and create a plan to pursue it. Because your someday will be one day. So just, come up with a plan and pursue it. But don't wait. Don't wait for the time is right, because the time will never be right. Just effing do it. Just do it. I feel like
just do it.
Do it. I feel like, was it Shia LaBeouf? Do it. But
I should get him on this podcast.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing. I don't think he's doing much, so I think you should get him on here.
I'm sure he does like motivational speaking after that.
I mean,
that clip motivates people. I mean, people make fun of it, but you get motivated.
He's like, just do it. But really, it's, a dream. A dream could be a goal, but you have a plan. If you have steps to accomplish that dream, it's a plan.
Yeah,
make a plan. I should listen to my own advice. No, but I mean, there's like benchmarks I want to hit, right? Mm-hmm. But and I'm working towards those benchmarks. But make a plan for your dreams. The time is now.
Time is now. Yeah. I like that. All right, cool. Well, thank you, Diane, for coming out here. And,
thank you so much. Thank you so much. We laughed, we cried, we might vomit.
We had our own telenovela.
I know we had our own telenovela. ¿Por qué, Barsky? ¿Por qué?
All we need is someone with an eye patch here.
Oh man, I didn't bring my props with me.
But awesome. But yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate, and thank you for joining on Someday with Jay Barsky.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Thanks for listening to our episode with Diane Jorge. You can follow her on all her socials, which you may find in the episode notes. I hope you enjoyed our episode. Please rate and comment on the podcast to help make it grow. If you wish to follow me, all my socials are at IamJBarsky. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you soon.